Justice of Liberties and affiliates stand as resource providers and educators for self-empowerment. In a world where blissful ignorance reigns, we empower individuals to rise beyond and take control of their own narratives. The American peace flag and the American war flag, symbols of choice and contrast, remind us of the ideals we strive for and the realities we confront. Together, we illuminate the path to autonomy, knowledge, and justice. Justice of liberties, because empowerment is your right and knowledge is your power. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. These immortal words, written in the Declaration of Independence, were not mere poetic ideals. They were an assertion of natural law, a recognition that rights come from the Creator, not the government. The Constitution was drafted to secure those rights, limiting government power rather than limiting the people. The Bill of Rights, through the first 10 amendments, was designed to protect individuals from government overreach. Yet, over time, that vision was altered. The American people, once sovereign individuals, became citizens of a corporate structure, bound not by the divine laws of nature, but by legal statutes, obligations, and contracts imposed upon them. What changed, and more importantly, how do we reclaim what was always meant to be ours? The shift from natural law to statutory control. The Founding Fathers understood that governments derive their power from the consent of the governed. This was the foundation of American sovereignty, that a free people do not exist under the control of kings, corporations, or bureaucracies. James Madison warned, "If tyranny and oppression come to this land, it will be in the guise of fighting a foreign enemy." But what if tyranny did not come through war, but through legislation? The Constitution's Article 1, Section 10 prohibits states from interfering with private contracts. Yet today, nearly every aspect of life is governed by contracts we unknowingly enter into. From birth certificates to social security numbers, tax filings to employment agreements. The United States was founded on common law, which aligns closely with natural law and divine providence, a system where individuals were free to contract and govern themselves so long as they harmed no one and upheld their obligations. But after the Civil War, a dramatic shift occurred. The introduction of the 14th Amendment in 1868 created a new type of citizenship. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. At first glance, this seems like a guarantee of equality, but hidden within its language was a transformation of legal status. Prior to this, individuals were state citizens, existing under a decentralized government. The 14th Amendment made all citizens subject to federal jurisdiction, placing them under the direct legal control of Congress. This distinction was crucial. The sovereign individual, once protected by natural law and common law, was now governed by statutory law. The 14th Amendment citizen, rights as privileges. So what does it mean to be a 14th Amendment citizen? It means that you do not have inalienable rights, but rather civil rights, which can be regulated, revoked, or altered by the government. Your legal identity is tied to federal jurisdiction, meaning you are subject to statutes, taxation, licensing, and government control. The government assumes you have agreed to this system simply by participating, using a social security number, applying for a driver's license, paying federal income taxes. In contrast, a sovereign individual, operating under natural law, retains full autonomy, bound only by the laws of morality, contracts, and common justice. But here's the question. Is it possible to step outside the 14th Amendment system? Reclaiming sovereignty, how to step out of federal jurisdiction. The gap between natural law and common law lies in jurisdiction. If you identify as a 14th Amendment citizen, you are bound by statutory law. To reclaim sovereignty, one must legally correct their status, one understanding the contracts you are under. The government assumes jurisdiction over you because you identify as a U.S. citizen under federal law. By using a social security number, filing tax returns, and signing contracts in the name of your legal identity, you operate within their system by default. 2. Notifying the government of your status correction. To step outside federal jurisdiction, individuals often file legal declarations such as affidavit of sovereignty, declaring that you are a natural person not a 14th Amendment citizen. Declaration of political status, a legal notice separating yourself from federal jurisdiction and reclaiming your state citizenship. 3. Using the system as a resource, not a limitation. Even after reclaiming sovereignty, many still interact with the system strategically, using an EIN instead of an SSN for business transactions, holding property in trusts instead of direct personal ownership, operating under common law in court instead of voluntarily entering statutory jurisdiction. The goal is not to abandon society, but to exist within it as a free individual, using the system as a resource without being controlled by it. Conclusion: the choice before us. The founders never intended for the government to be the master of the people. The Constitution and Declaration of Independence enshrined the belief that freedom is God-given, not granted by rulers or bureaucrats. But the question is, do we still recognize the difference between freedom and controlled privilege? Are we truly free, or have we been conditioned to accept a more sophisticated system of control, one that operates not through force but through contracts, regulations, and consent by ignorance? History has shown that power never relinquishes itself willingly. It simply changes form. The responsibility to reclaim sovereignty does not rest with courts, politicians, or legal scholars. It rests with each individual willing to step beyond the illusion of freedom and reclaim the divine rights endowed upon them by their Creator. The path to freedom is not granted. It is recognized, asserted, and upheld. The question is, will we take that step?